that time that I went to federal prison and I faked my paperwork. Now, some of you might be wondering what paperwork is, so we're gonna watch a little video from JD Delay, somebody that I like to watch, and just let him explain what paperwork is in prison.
You go to prison, one of the first things that's going to happen is they're going to ask you for your paperwork. But what does that mean? It's generally the paperwork from the court showing what you were convicted of. The first and most important thing that we're looking for, though, is are your charges related to sex crimes? Anything involving a minor, anything involving the elderly, domestic violence against a female, barnyard sodomy, you got those, you're fucked. I mean, animal abuse, any type of animal abuse. People aren't generally going to go through every page of your paperwork to see if you're a snitch or not. You got to be kind of sus, be accused of it, or be trying to join a gang for that to be relevant. What happens if you don't have your paperwork? Well, you're supposed to. Where'd it go? Some people are going to say dumbass shit like, I sent it home. I lost it in a cell fire. The ever popular, my lawyer said not to talk about it. So what happens then? Bye. It's a bad deal, man. People with good paperwork keep their paperwork. People with bad paperwork, yeah. And remember, kids, if you lie about your charges, we'll still find out because the internet.
You see what paperwork is. Paperwork is something when you go to prison, basically has your charges on it. Lets them know also if you told on somebody. And so you might not have a sex charge, but in federal prison, what they look for is this motion that's called a 5K1. And the 5K1, what it says is that you helped out the government before you went to prison. So say you got a charge and you got out and you were helping the government, you were buying drugs, for the government, for the feds, and you went to court and they took that into consideration. And instead of you getting whatever's in your federal guidelines, you end up getting a lesser sentence. And so here's my story. In December of 2009, I was driving down the freeway with this girl coming from California to Salt Lake City. I had 3,000 ecstasy pills in the trunk. We got pulled over for window tint. It's kind of crazy, right? We weren't speeding or anything, got pulled over for window tint. I had a warrant out for my arrest for a petty theft from years prior. And so they pulled me out of the car. I had gotten handcuffed because of it. And they kept asking the driver, hey, can we search your car? And she kept telling them, no, it's not my car. It's his mom's car. I can't give you permission to search. You need to ask her. And after about 10, 15 minutes of asking and asking and asking, she finally looked at me and she mouthed the words, I'm sorry, and pulled the keys out and gave it to the officers. So I'm standing there, right? And I see them walk to the back of the car. They open it. They say, ooh, it smells good in here. I must have had a little bit of weed or something like that in my backpack. And they open the backpack. They pull out this FedEx package. And by that time, I'm sitting there with my handcuffs, trying to wiggle them off. And I end up slipping one off and pew, I end up taking off, running across the freeway, gazelle hopping the barbed wire fence and just keep running. Now, mind you, it's about 20 degrees outside, snowing, and I got a t-shirt and some shorts on, right? Because we're coming from California. It was hot. We're traveling. I'm not really thinking I'm going to be on the run from the police, right? So anyways, I kind of snuck this way, right? Going across this field and there was a bunch of bushes. So they saw me running one way. Then I got down and started army crawling this other way, right? I had about 75 Roxy 30s, if you know what that is. Had it in a little pill bottle tucked in my boxer briefs. And I had the handcuffs just hanging off of one arm. And I just remember I'm sitting there just popping the pills, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? I call my mom, Mom, I'm in so much trouble. And I'm telling her what's happening. I tell her, I think I'm just going to keep eating these pills. She says, George, you got yourself into this. You got to get yourself out. Be a man. Pour those pills out and turn yourself in. So I'm like, all right, Mom. So I pour the pills out. I end up taking the other handcuff off, setting it there, army crawling to the snow for about 2.5 hours. And, I see they drive. The field is like a triangle shaped like this. And I'm like way over here in this corner. And they drive way over to this other side, thinking that I'm going that way. And they start moving, towards my way. And I see the dogs and I'm like, I don't want to get bitten by some dogs. Like dogs will tear you up. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, I'm over here. I'm over here. Like I don't got nothing. So anyways, I end up getting arrested. And when we get down to the station, they basically pull me in the room. And, I got all kinds of stuff going through my head. Like Obviously, I'm addicted to Oxycontin at this time, bad, right? I got all these people who fronted me money to go get them stuff, and, like, I gotta pay these people back, and I'm literally not in my right mind, you know? And all I'm thinking about is myself. That's it. I'm just being honest. And so they said something along the lines of, "Where did you get this from? What were you doing?" And they told me, they said, "You can go home right now if you just are willing to help us." And like I said, I wasn't in my right mind. I wasn't thinking straight. So I'm like, I could go home. I'm like, whatever I got to do. So, anyways, that same day, the same night, they end up driving me all the way home and letting me go. And I go in there, my friend's like, "Yo, what's up? Like, what happened, bro? You were, you know, gone for hours. Nobody could get a hold of you, but you were supposed to be here." I told him, like, "Man, I got pulled over with them pills, man." And so now fast forward, I remember being out and all my friends, they asked me, "Yo, how did you get out?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I never been in trouble before. So, I got a bond basically and I'm good because I haven't been in trouble." But that was a lie. I have been in lots of trouble before that. They never would have let somebody like me out. And the feds, honestly, they don't let people out unless they're willing to help and give them information. But one thing that I justified it in my mind, and I said, "Oh, well, I would never tell on my friends. I would never tell on my boys. So I'll just, tell on these people who, in my mind, were not good people. These people buy guns, they're gang members. They do things that to me is like not morally correct, but who am I to judge? I was doing things that wasn't morally correct either by selling drugs." So I ended up doing what they call a controlled buy. I did 2 controlled buys. Um, One was for a massive quantity of ecstasy, and another one was for a massive quantity of cocaine. And this got me a substantial amount of time off of my sentence. So I was looking at, I should have done 5 years, but I ended up getting 15 months because of this. And it's crazy. The whole time that I was out, I was still selling drugs. And I swear the feds knew that I was doing it, but they just didn't care because all they wanted was the people that I was buying from. Like one time I go to pick up some ecstasy and the next week the same person got caught, and I wasn't even doing a controlled buy on them. But anyways, so long story short, about 2 years later, I finally go to court. I go to sentencing. I'm hoping I get just time off completely, but they end up giving me 15 months. And so the judge, he was trying to get me in a low security prison. But because of my record and all the points that I had, I think I ended up having like 23 points. And usually they would send somebody like that to a federal penitentiary. But because I had a short time, they sent me to a FCI, which is a medium security prison. And so in between me getting sentenced and me going to prison, I had been getting high. So like when I got out, I was supposed to be on federal supervision, but because I was working with the feds, they were my supervisors. So I'm getting high the whole time. And once I got sentenced, I got put on that federal supervision because I wasn't helping the feds anymore. And so because I failed a couple of my UAs, they locked me up for that. I went to prison right before Christmas. I get locked up for failing a couple UAs, and I'm in a county jail in Salt Lake City. And while I'm in there, people are asking me about my charges. They're talking to me about paperwork. I find out where I'm going. I'm going to Victorville, California. And everybody's hyping me up, getting me literally terrified. Some people are like, "Oh, you'll be good, bro. They got heroin in there. They got meth. They got all kinds of drugs. You'll be completely fine. You'll love it." Right? And other people are saying Victorville, they call this place Victimville, right? Because of how many people get killed there. I'm just like, oh my gosh, bro. You're talking to me about paperwork. You're talking to me about stabbings. You're talking to me about drugs. Where am I even going? Am I going to a third world country? So anyways, I think because of what I did, helping the government out, when I went back to court to decide, what was going to happen, the judge let me out. I think because it was right before Christmas. I said, I haven't seen my brother in years. I'm going to be able to see him. And so he just said, "Yeah, but you need to turn yourself in early to the prison." Right. And so I go to prison, right? I'm sitting in the intake and on the radio, I'm hearing, "Yo, lockdown, lockdown. We got a stabbing basically is what was happening." Right. So they locked the whole prison down. We end up going to our cells later on. And before I even got my paperwork, I'm walking to out to wreck, right? And this guy, he comes pushing by me. Boom. I'm like, what the heck is that? I just see this guy. He runs up to this guy and he is, yeah, 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 yeah. Dude stabs the dude 22 times and takes off and just straight gets away with it. And later on, I'm talking to this dude and he's just like so hype about it. He's like, look, bro, I still got blood in my shoes. Bro, what did I get myself into? Bro, if they find out, I'm a history toast. You know, a week after that, I'm walking the rec, the soccer fields, right? In Victorville, it's like you got a softball field on this side, you got basketball courts, big old soccer field back here, and on the other side, you got another softball court. I'm walking the track with my celly. We're like way on this corner, and these people over here in the softball field, right? You could see a cloud of dust, right? And my celly goes, "Oh man, they must be getting somebody over there. They must be getting somebody." So we're just still walking. And we see this guy like Frankenstein. He's walking all crazy. His head is just like so swollen. My celly's like, oh my gosh, bro, look what they did to him. My celly didn't even recognize the guy. It was somebody that he talked to every single day. That's how messed up this dude's face was from the steel toes. Well, it's like composite boots that they give you. And so I go to prison. First thing they do when I get there, one guy comes in a room. He starts asking me all these questions. What are your charges? Da 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 da. And so I'm telling him, oh yeah, I got, pulled over with a bunch of pills. I only got this much time. And the guy's like, you only got 15 months. Like, how the hell did that happen? And I told him, oh, well, I was just lying to these people, right? I told them, oh, I got caught with 1,000 pills. It was a federal charge because I went across state lines. I've never been in any trouble before. I don't have a record. So, I was able to get out. I was doing really good. I also had the story that I got charged by the state first and then the feds picked it up. But I had been out for so long that they just let me out because I was doing good. So I had this whole spiel of what I was telling these people. And they asked me, they said, okay, well, do you got your paperwork? And I'm like, no, what's that? So they tell me, okay, here, you got to fill this form out and you send it in. And basically wherever you got caught, like the district attorney there or the U.S. attorney will send that paperwork in and it'll basically say, what you got charged with, if you told on somebody, if it has the 5K1 on there. And so I'm like, all right, cool, I could do that. And they told me, you got 45 days, right? And if you don't get it in 45 days, you better either turn yourself in, which means you go down to the SHU, which is basically like jail and prison, where you're 23-hour lockdown. You get out 1 hour a day, but that's only on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. You get out 1 hour a day where you get shackled up. They walk you and your celly to basically a cage that's like, 12 by 20. And you go in there and you do a little workout or you play handball, whatever it is. And so they tell you basically you got to go turn yourself in or we're going to take care of you. Basically, they're going to beat the brakes off you. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, oh, shoot, man, what do I do? What do I do? So, me, I'm a problem solver. My mind is going. So I call my lawyer and I'm like, look, bro, like they're talking to me about this paperwork stuff. I know that I got the 5K1. Is there any way you could alter that paperwork so that when I get it, it looks like I'm legit, like I didn't do nothing wrong? And the lawyer's like, oh yeah, I got you. So I ended up getting 2 paperworks in. One had the charge on it, the possession with intent to distribute MDMA, but he took that 5K1 out of there. And so I go up there, boom, I give him my paperwork. I'm nervous. He looks at it. He's like, all right, white boy, you good? I'm like, I'm good. Shoot. I go into the Shark Tank. God protects me from all of it. This was before I even knew who God was. And so I know that God got something for me. He got something big for me. I truly believe that because he's been protecting me. He's been keeping me safe. I got multiple stories and this is story time with Sifted Wheat. And I hope you guys enjoyed that.